Thank you, dear Jesus and Father, for the infusions of grace you quicken in our souls. Though we are not worthy, you're constantly showing your appreciation for even the littlest of things we do for you. Well, my dear heart dwellers, Ezekiel told me that something broke within the last hour. That was probably 2 or 3 hours ago. I'm also feeling it. Yesterday I carried a heavy heart and a foggy mind around with me all day. But this morning it's gone and there's some sense of joy restored. I believe your prayers are being answered and what was weighing on the Lord's heart has been lifted. Good job, prayer warriors. Good job. Although we can't stop praying. Oh, goodness. I wanted to share with you a new insight about prayer that has been clarified for me. This may be a big consolation to some of you who have felt the Lord hasn't spoken to you. What I picked up on happened the day after the message about Mary hovering over the Capitol dome with the angels coming and going according to her plan, which, by the way, is the Lord's plan because their hearts are so united in purpose, even as ours would be if we were in heaven. In any case, when I sat down to connect with the Lord before prayer, my heart was suddenly infused with white-hot fire and peace that I had fulfilled his will in bringing his mother to you. And then I read something from St. Padre Pio, which I just happened to open for a Rhema. The book is Padre Pio's Spiritual Direction for Every Day by Gianluigi Pasquale. And here's what it has to say. This is Padre Pio talking about his prayer life. And it begins here. This is what ordinarily happens to me during prayer. I hardly set out to pray when suddenly I sense my soul beginning to recollect itself in peace and tranquility that I cannot put into words. My senses remain suspended, with the exception of my hearing, which is often not suspended because generally that sense does not distract me. And I must say that even when a lot of noise is going on around me, that does not bother me in the least. Boy, I love that gift. This will help you understand, he continues, that rarely do I pray by using my mind. Frequently, at certain moments when I am continuing to think about God, who is always present to me, I distance myself a bit from my mind. And all at once I feel our Lord touch the very center of my soul in a rather penetrating and gentle way. Most of the time I feel compelled to weep tears of sorrow for my unfaithfulness and tears of tenderness for having such a good Father who is so attentive to summon me into his presence. So that's a very beautiful insight about prayer. And some of you have been having this experience in prayer and you still feel distant from the Lord. Well, I want you to understand that when you experience this, it's a very special grace, a beautiful place of unity with the Lord. So I'm very familiar with those tears of sorrow for my unfaithfulness and tears of tenderness for having such a good Father. All I have to do these days is take a quick look at his eyes in the portrait that I'm working on, and I truly get it down deep in my soul. He loves me. And when this wonderful kind of prayer happens, it is a mighty gift that fills me to overflowing for the entire day in just a few instants. Mind you, I don't leave that state of prayer. I bask in it because it is so rejuvenating and uplifting. So what I am saying is that there will be times when you come into prayer and you feel movement in your heart, good movement. And that is our precious Lord rushing to hug us and infuse us with his very own being. Now I want to mention the situation of my 2 very dear friends in Trinidad. The young girl, 16 and pregnant, she is now 7 months pregnant and having Braxton Hicks contractions. Due to the fact that she's living under such oppression, the baby has grown within her very, very little. So it's still not very noticeable. But I believe God has done this deliberately to hide her pregnancy, so her father would not kill her or physically force her to have an abortion. We are all still waiting for God to act, heart dwellers. We don't know what to do until the Lord shows us something. We're waiting on Him. Remember, she's 16 and her fiancé is 23, and they've been very deep friends from childhood. Now we need to get her off the island, both of them off the island, hopefully legally, if her father doesn't kill her. We're standing in readiness to make a proposition to him to bring her to America to finish school and have the baby. We already have a home and a babysitting job for her with a midwife. So we are prepared for her and her fiancé. There's also work for him. So I'm asking this question from way out in left field. Does anyone out there have a private plane that they could remove them from the island undetected? It's a long shot, but at least it's worth mentioning. I would rather break the law to save her life and the life of her child than see her disappear and never be heard from again. The father, who's a well-connected Mason, was just 2 weeks ago threatening to move her to a very remote part of Tobago, which is the other half of the island of Trinidad. Well, at least continue to pray for her dear ones. If you can't do anything else, please pray for them. We have several people offer to help, but nothing ever came of their leads, so we're still back to square one, waiting on God. The Lord bless you, heart dwellers, and I hope this little teaching on prayer really edifies you, because I know many of you just don't recognize the Lord's movement in your heart. He has so many wonderful ways of touching us. I think one of the reasons He gives me words is so that I can share them with you. So the Lord bless you and keep you. And we'll be having a message soon from Carol, her story on why she prays the rosary. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you.